Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Strata Data in San Jose. I'm here with Jack Norris from MapR. Jack, how you doing?
Great, great. Glad to be here, Mike.
Good to see you again. So it's been about 6 months since we talked, and a lot changes in the world.
Yeah.
Catch me up on what's changed with you guys.
Well, I think if you take a step back and look at the whole industry, increasingly the conversation is about the data, the underlying data. You know, at the beginning of the early days of this conference, it was more about the processing up above, right? The map reduce, and then we talked about yarn, and a lot of the components and how I'm doing processing. And now I think the realization, the spotlight has moved to the data, because it's recognized that the underlying data is the real area that you'll succeed or not. And McKinsey did a study and said for data science projects, only about 20% of those are in production. And if you back that up with some of the Gartner statistics on Hadoop deployments, where only 14% of those made it into production successfully, they both point at the underlying data layer as the culprit. And so that's the backdrop as we increasingly talk about our data fabric that can stretch across locations, support a variety of processing, and support advanced machine learning and AI.
Because those are the darlings of the world right now. And you have to have data is central to both machine learning and AI.
90% of success is data logistics for your typical machine learning project.
So do you make deploying this much easier with your platform?
Yeah, well, for one thing, our deployment can support the existing applications and existing approaches side by side with net new. Especially true when you look at containerization. So we just announced our support in Kubernetes environment, where you can containerize all applications. You don't have to worry about stateful applications or shared data, because it's easy to access that across our platform. Regardless of where you move that, you can burst to the cloud. We provide all the kind of difficulties in terms of how you synchronize, how you place that data, how you protect it, and provide security.
Is that kind of like a data infrastructure?
Yeah, I think data infrastructure, data fabric, converged data platform, there's many ways to kind of refer to it.
And what sorts of companies are looking at that the most? Are there industries that are needing a whole transformation of their data world that would need something like?
Probably the best way to explain it is not just specific industries, but it's the leaders within a particular industry. So it's kind of cross-industry, but some of the leaders in financial services that are looking at how do they best leverage data, not only for the kind of customer experience, but for the better, their ability to kind of better manage and mitigate risk and drive operational efficiency. And we're seeing that in healthcare, in telco, in ad media, in oil and gas. I mean, it really kind of runs the gamut.
So if they're the leaders, then they're the good stalwart companies that have been around for a while and continue to lead. Are you seeing disruptors also wanting to do the same thing? Because there's always disruptors wanting to knock off the incumbents.
Yep.
And are they looking at platforms like this as well, because they can scale quicker?
Well, Deloitte has this Center for the Edge, and they published in the latest kind of global technology report the importance of data flows. And they projected in the next decade, the primary task of computing will be in understanding and leveraging data flows. So they actually went through and segmented public companies and said there are traditional asset-based companies where the valuation is about 1x of revenues, to orchestrators, network orchestrators that get an 8x multiple. So the disruptors, in their view, are those that are better able to kind of orchestrate networks. That's where the Ubers and the Airbnbs fall in. So the task for an organization is to look at your business model and how do you better position yourselves to be at the control point in your ecosystem to understand the exchanges and data flows that are going on. And just to bring that back, if you have a data fabric, it's a lot easier to not only understand but control those data flows.
And what does the data fabric bring to a large enterprise? I mean, what if you're a Fortune 50 company, and you're looking at a small startup that is really starting to eat around the corners of your business, and you want to make sure you distance yourself. What do you do with the data fabric?
Well, the challenge for organizations is that they're looking at how do they do more with less, right? So how do they simultaneously reduce costs and drive innovation? So number one, a data fabric is a means to do that. You can handle greater volumes of data much less expensively, right? So it gives you that platform in which to innovate. And then if you look at, well, how do you innovate? Traditionally, we started with applications that dictated the data and you had a series of silos. And the challenge now is it's not about the specific application, it's my view across it. I'm not looking at this particular customer application. I want to understand the whole customer experience. I want to understand the whole business operation. So what a fabric does is gives you more access to that data, especially in between the silos, and allows you to do operations in near real time. So it's not analytics to put a spotlight to describe what happened. It's analytics to help you understand and make adjustments while it's happening.
So latency free, as someone described today.
Latency is the big culprit, and that's the benefit of kind of squeezing this out and doing things while the data is arriving and understanding the context of that data.
So what's on MapR's roadmap coming up? Let's foreshadow the next 6 months. What's on your roadmap? What would you like to have you guys doing differently, better, more effectively in 6 months?
I think my favorite quote in the coverage we got this week was that if you want to understand what a lot of the other competitors will roll out in the next few years,
look at what you're doing.
Look at what we're doing today.
Containers?
Containers, that's a great example, right? So it really revolves around kind of who you're looking at in the organization. So from the IT architect that's looking at how do I best leverage infrastructures everywhere from on-premise to cloud to edge, we've got that fabric that stretches across and gives them a lot of options. So you'll see kind of roadmap in there to just further make that automated and easier and policy driven. If you look at the developer, it's about microservices and containerized development, injecting machine learning, and we've got a bunch of things that we've done there. We'll continue to push on that, data science refineries, et cetera. If you look at the whole data ops approach of how do I get more agile to support that, the tools in place to be able to manage that effectively and get a lot of leverage in terms of the singular things you do that benefit across applications. And then from the C-level, you're doing all this for a reason. You're doing all this for a business impact, or an organizational impact if you're federal government, et cetera. So how do you tie that to the mission? How do you have a better instrumentation and better kind of applications? And there I think we go to the data flows focus. So that fabric is not just another name for a lake or a warehouse. It's integrated data in motion and data at rest that squeezes out the latency to inject these operations.
So no latency is the future for everyone?
Oh, absolutely.
We all want to get to that point where it's...
Yeah, we've kind of overused the term real time, I think, in the past. It's like, look at how fast that query is, but you look behind it and go, well, the data's a week old.
Yeah, excellent. Jack, we look forward to that conversation. Thanks,
Mike.